Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, mostly budget friendly. There was one kind of splurge dinner and they were all delicious. So if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. For dinner this first night, I had a few little pieces of Mahi-Mahi in my freezer that I've been needing to use up, but I wasn't really sure what to do with them. And I was thinking about the other day, just going to Florida, and my little sister always gets Mahi-Mahi sandwiches when we're there. So I thought, hey, let's do some sandwiches. So I didn't follow a recipe, but let me show you what I did. I'm going to start out though by getting the sides started. We're going to do some cheesy ranch potatoes. In this bowl here, I've got some russet potatoes. I've washed them really well. I'm going to cut them up into cubes. You can also do this using like baby red potatoes or red potatoes, golden yellow potatoes, whatever you like or whatever you've got on hand. I'm going to drizzle them with some olive oil. You can, of course, use the oil of your preference. Now for the seasonings, we're going to do some garlic powder and then dry ranch dressing mix, as well as a little bit of salt and pepper. You want to kind of go easy on the salt. There is some salt in this ranch mix, but I find that they do need a little bit. But remember, you can always add it, but can't take it away. So I'm going to give that a really good mix, and then this is going to go on a greased baking dish. I'm going to put this into a preheated 400-degree oven, and I baked these for about 30 minutes or so. Just really depends on how big your potatoes are. Just cook them until they are fork tender. Once they're done, we are going to add some shredded cheese, and then I decided to add some bacon crumbles as well. Pop them back in the oven for just a couple minutes to let that cheese melt, and we're good to go. I'm going to put together a quick tartar sauce to hang out in the fridge while the potatoes cook. Now, I like to keep my tartar sauce pretty simple. I just add in some mayonnaise along with relish, and we like quite a bit of relish, a little salt and pepper, and then some fresh lemon juice, and then that's it. I give it a really, really good mix and then chill it until I'm ready for it for dinner. You can add in some dill if you want to. You could add in some capers, whatever you like, but I'm going to call that good. We like ours pretty simple. So here in this skillet here, I've got a little bit of olive oil and butter. This is on about medium-high heat. I'm going to add in my Mahi-Mahi. I seasoned it on both sides with some of this Blackened seasoning. Use your favorite brand, or you can make your own, of course. And these little pieces of Mahi-Mahi literally took like a minute and a half per side. They did not take very long at all to cook. Once they, flake with a fork, they are done. I'm going to set them to the side. I put them on a plate with some paper towels. For the sandwiches, I've got some iceberg lettuce and sliced tomatoes. And then here are the plates. So I buttered and toasted up just some plain old hamburger buns, added the lettuce, the tomato, the Mahi-Mahi, along with some of that tartar sauce. And then we've got the potatoes, and I did just a drizzle of ranch dressing on the potatoes and some dried chives I didn't have fresh. And then I served it along with some fresh grapes. And this was yummy. We both love those potatoes, and the sandwiches took us right back to Florida. Our anniversary was the last of May. Gary had a meeting that night though, and so we decided to hold off on our anniversary dinner, and so I decided to make it this night. Back in, I think it was like around Valentine's Day, I found this prime rib at a really good price. It's been in my freezer. Was waiting for, a good opportunity to use it, and I thought our anniversary was perfect. I've never made a prime rib before, and I think I've only had it maybe once or twice. To be quite honest with you, we don't love ribeye steaks. It's not our favorite. I know a lot of people love them. There is a lot of gristle and fat in it, but I just wanted to try a prime rib roast. So I'm going to show you what I did. I'm going to start out by making a horseradish cream. I will have the recipe that I use in the description box below for you. I did have the recipe. I've got some Worcestershire sauce, prepared horseradish, sour cream, mayonnaise, salt and pepper, and fresh lemon juice. And I just mixed everything together. Again, check the recipe down below for the exact measurements. And then I'm going to let that hang out in the fridge until we're ready for it for dinner. All right, so here is that ribeye roast. You can see it was originally $53, almost $54. I got it for $32, so not a bad deal. I let it thaw for a few days, and then I set it out at room temperature for a couple hours, patted it dry really well. I'm going to season it up with some olive oil, minced garlic. I've got some fresh rosemary, fresh cracked black pepper, dried thyme, and then I found this applewood smoked sea salt in my pantry, and I thought that it would go really well with this. I rubbed the prime rib with the olive oil all over and then added all of the seasonings, made sure it was really well seasoned. I placed it on a wire rack in a baking dish. And I forgot to mention, but this is fat side up. Now, I placed this into a preheated oven, super hot, set at 450 degrees, and I baked it for about 25 minutes, and that helps the outside get brown, almost like you're searing it in a skillet on top of the stove. So after about 25-30 minutes, I reduced the heat to 350 degrees, and then you want to cook this until the roast is done to your liking. I can't really give you an exact amount of time. Mine took like maybe an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, but I had a smaller prime rib roast. And if you like yours, I mean, people say you're not supposed to eat prime rib roast past like medium rare, but you're in your kitchen, you do you, boo. If you want to eat it medium, you know, whatever, you do you. But medium rare was perfect for us, and like I said, it took about an hour and 45 minutes. But once it's cooked until it is done to your liking, you want to remove it from the oven, tint it loosely with foil, and then let it rest for at least 20 minutes before you slice it up. And look at this. I mean, y'all, I don't mean to toot my own horn. This was delicious. This was so good. And I forgot to mention, for this medium rare, it was 130 degrees internal temperature is what I cooked it to. Now remember, it will continue to cook as it sits. You do have some carryover cooking. Now, for our side, I decided to do some twice baked potatoes. I don't follow a recipe for this, but let me show you what I do. So I took some potatoes, washed them really well, pricked them with some forks, rubbed them with olive oil, coated them with some kosher salt and pepper, and I baked them at 400 degrees in the oven for about 45 minutes to an hour until they were fork tender. Now I have let these cool for a little bit, just long enough so that I can handle them. I'm going to cut them in half and scoop out the insides. Now you want to scoop them out, but you want to leave a little border of the potato all around so that the potato has some structure. Now I'm going to add the insides to a bowl, add in some butter. I had just a tiny little bit of half and half left in this container, so I'm going to add that to use it up. I'm adding in some sour cream, and you can do this like in a stand mixer with a hand mixer, or you can use a potato masher if you want, but a spoon worked just fine for me tonight. Now I'm going to add in some dry ranch dressing mix. That is totally optional. Sometimes I use dry ranch dressing mix. Sometimes I'll add in a little ranch dressing in there, but again, that's optional. I just love the ranch flavor with potatoes. I'm adding in a little salt and pepper, followed by some shredded cheddar cheese, along with some cooked and crumbled bacon. And I also make broccoli cheese twice baked potatoes just like this, except instead of the bacon pieces, I'll add in some like steamed and chopped up broccoli. Yummy. So give that a really good mix, and then we are going to place that back into the potatoes. I'm going to add a little more shredded cheese and some cooked and crumbled bacon on top. This is going to go into a preheated oven baked at 350 degrees, and you're going to bake this for about 20 minutes just until it's bubbly and the cheese is really melted. And then I garnish this with some dried chives. I wasn't sure if I would like the horseradish cream sauce, and like an au jus or gravy sounded really good. So I will put the recipe that I use in the description box below for you. In this pot, this is on about medium heat, I'm going to add in some of the drippings from cooking the roast. I'm then going to whisk in some flour and let that cook for a minute or two. After that, I'm going to add in some beef broth. Now, I'm just using water and beef bouillon. You want to slowly whisk this in, and then we're going to half boil, half simmer this for about 5 minutes until it gets a little bit thickened. And then we're ready to add in our seasonings. I'm going to add in some black pepper, a little Worcestershire sauce, and then the recipe didn't call for this kitchen bouquet seasoning, but I decided to add in just a tiny little bit. That's it. Just give it a taste and adjust the gravy to your taste. All right, here are the plates. So we've got the prime rib, the twice baked potatoes. I set out some sour cream in case Gary wanted to add a little scoop to his potatoes. We've got the gravy, the horseradish cream. Gary wanted Thousand Island on his salad. I did ranch on my salad. My salad's kind of over to the far. I don't know if you can see that or not, but this was really good. We had a really nice dinner. I'm very grateful that, you know, back a few months ago, I caught this on sale and got it so that now we could have it, you know, for a nice anniversary dinner. Gary has really been craving Buffalo Wild Wings, and he has been working a lot lately. And so for dinner this first night, I was like, you know what? Let's just grab some Buffalo Wild Wings. So I went on the app and placed the order. He ran and picked it up for us. We got some of their garlic Parmesan wings. They're medium. Those are for him. I do not like buffalo wings. And then we also got some of their honey barbecue. We got some carrots and celery. The celery is all for Gary. And then I got ranch to dip my veggies in. He prefers blue cheese. They had a coupon in the app where I think it was like if you spent $15 or $20, something like that. Anyway, you got a free order of nachos. So we got their nachos, and that was dinner that night. We just had the wings and some of the nachos. And yeah, the nachos, I will say, they were good, but I don't know if it was just whoever made them that night, but I mean, they were super, super skimpy on the toppings. The toppings that were there were delicious, but if I had to have paid full price for the nachos, I would not have been happy at all because most of them were just basically plain tortilla chips. I think the nachos are like 11 or 12 bucks on the menu. Not worth that. But otherwise, really, really yummy dinner. Dinner the next night was actually on the meal plan for a lunch for us, but I just wanted something kind of light for dinner, and this sounded good. So I did an Italian style panini. I took inspiration from a recipe I saw on Pinterest. I'll put that down in the description box below for you. I've got the oven preheating to like 375 degrees. I've got a couple ciabatta rolls. I'm going to cut those in half. They are like partially split, but you do, at least these anyway that I get from Walmart, you do want to cut through them. I'm going to add some ham, followed by some sliced pepperoni and then salami. And I'm using the meats I've got on hand. You can use whatever you like. Mortadella would be good on this, capicola, prosciutto, whatever you want. Now, I got some fresh mozzarella pre-sliced on markdown at Food Lion the other day. So I'm going to add a couple slices of that to the top of the ciabatta roll and then place this into the preheated oven just for about like maybe 8 to 10 minutes until the roll gets toasty and that mozzarella cheese melts. I'd cut up a watermelon that afternoon, and so I decided a watermelon feta salad would go delicious with the panini. So here to a little bowl, I'm just adding some of that cut up watermelon. I had just a little bit of feta cheese in my fridge, so I'm going to sprinkle that over and then chop up some fresh basil. Right before I serve it, I'm going to do a drizzle of this balsamic glaze from Trader Joe's, and this is so good, so refreshing. You can add some purple onion if you want to as well, but I didn't have it and I prefer it without it. But there's something about that watermelon with the saltiness of the feta and the balsamic. It's delicious. So here's what these sandwiches look like once the cheese was melted and they were toasted. I am going to add a little bit of salt, just a tiny, tiny, tiny pinch of salt to the fresh mozzarella just to bring out the flavor. I'm then going to add a sliced tomato with a little seasoning, some of the fresh chopped basil, and then I'm also adding some pesto. I just got this from the Dollar Tree. I decided to do a drizzle of that same balsamic glaze on top of the tomato, and I put the top of the sandwich on the bottom, and they're ready to serve. Here is my plate. Gary was working late this evening, so he came down and grabbed his plate and ran back up to his office to keep working. He had the exact same thing I did. We've got that panini, some of the watermelon feta salad, and then a pickle. This is the sweet and spicy from Famous Dave's. So, so good. If you like bread and butter pickles, give these a try. They are delicious. They do have a tiny, tiny, tiny little kick to them, but they're not hot at all. They are just so yummy. The next day, we'd eaten a really late lunch and we weren't super hungry when it came time for dinner, so I just did some scrambled eggs and toast, just cooked up some eggs. I prefer mine without cheese. Gary likes some cheese, so I cooked mine and then set mine to the side and add a little cheese for him. We've got some toast. Gary just wanted butter and strawberry jam. I like to take toasted bread and make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but just use the toasted bread. It is so yummy. And then we like ketchup with our scrambled eggs, and then I've got some pineapple and watermelon on the side. Quick and easy dinner. next night also wasn't on the meal plan, but I had that fresh mozzarella I mentioned from Food Lion. I've been trying to work through it, so I decided to do like a balsamic caprese chicken. I did not follow a recipe for this, but let me show you what I did. I did a quick marinade for the chicken. I've got some olive oil, balsamic vinegar, minced garlic, Italian seasoning, salt and pepper. I just combined everything, added it to a Ziploc bag along with some chicken breast, and then you can marinate this overnight, several hours. I think I did like an hour. So here in this baking dish, I've greased it. I've added in the chicken. I've got my oven preheating to 350 degrees. I'm going to season the chicken with a little bit of salt and pepper on both sides. After that, I'm going to add on my pesto. Now, if you see, I put some pesto into a small bowl because this chicken is raw. I did not want to cross-contaminate. So I'm going to spread that pesto out on the chicken. And I kind of got inspiration from this, with this chicken from a recipe. I think it was from like Iowa Girl Eats. I've made it before on my channel. I'll link that down in the description box below. But like I said, I just used inspiration. I didn't follow it exactly. I'm going to add the fresh sliced mozzarella cheese, a sliced tomato, season the tomato with a little salt and pepper. This is going to go into the preheated oven and bake for about 25 or 30 minutes until the chicken is at least 165 degrees internal temperature. Well, along with this, I did some Italian dressing potatoes. Here I've got some little baby red potatoes. I'm going to cut those in small pieces, add them to a greased baking dish. Once I've done that, I'm going to take some Italian dressing. You can use, your favorite bottled, or you can use the dry mix and mix it up according to the package instructions. But mixing the Italian dressing in with the potatoes, I'm going to season the potatoes with a little bit of salt and pepper, give them a good toss, and then these are going to go into the preheated oven. Now, I just baked these at the same temperature that the chicken was baking. So at 350 degrees, I baked them for about 25 minutes, tossed them, baked them for another 25 minutes or so until they were fork tender and golden brown like this. At this point, I'm going to add in some grated Parmesan cheese, give them one last toss, and then this is what they look like. And you can, of course, use freshly grated cheese if you want to. I added in some fresh chopped parsley, and then that was it for the potatoes. Here's a picture of my plate. Same thing this night. Gary took dinner and went back up to his office to keep working. His plate looked exactly the same though. So we've got the chicken, the potatoes, and then I did just a quick Caesar salad, just romaine lettuce, a little grated Parmesan cheese, some croutons, and then the Ken's creamy Caesar dressing. This was yummy. Now, we've made that Iowa Girl Eats pesto chicken Parmesan before, and it's good, but marinating the chicken in the balsamic and olive oil and garlic just threw it over the top. The chicken had so much flavor between that marinade and the pesto, and then you had the mozzarella and the tomato. Just delicious, delicious dinner. For the last dinner in this week's video, I tried a new recipe for honey garlic butter shrimp and broccoli. I'll have this in the description box below for you. Both Gary and I love this dish. It was delicious, and it's perfect for a weeknight meal. It came together super quick and not a ton of prep time. So we're going to start out by doing a quick marinade for the shrimp. In this measuring cup here, I'm adding in some honey, then soy sauce, and I prefer to use the low sodium soy sauce, but you use what you like. Now I'm going to add in some grated ginger. You can grate it fresh, of course. I'm using the stuff from the little jar. And same thing with the garlic. I'm going to add the stuff from the jar. You can mince your own if you want to. We're going to add in a little bit of crushed red pepper flakes and then give that a really, really good mix, and that's the marinade. So we're going to take that and pour that over about a pound of shrimp, and you just want to take about a third of that marinade. You want to leave the remaining 2/3 because that's going to be the sauce for the shrimp and broccoli. So I just gave that a mix and set that to the side while I got like the broccoli prepped and the rice prepped and all that. So in this skillet here, this is on about medium-high heat. You can use a wok if you want to do that. I've got a little bit of oil in there. Once the oil is hot, we're going to add in our broccoli florets. Season those up with some salt and pepper. Give those a stir, and you want to cook those for about 5 minutes until they start to get brown and the broccoli gets tender. We're going to set that to the side, add in a little bit more oil to the skillet, and again, this is on about medium-high heat. Once that oil is really, really hot, we're going to add in our shrimp. Now, I drained off the marinade and then patted them dry with some paper towels. These shrimp took no time at all. Like, maybe 2.5 minutes to cook. So that's what I meant when I said this is super quick and easy. The broccoli takes like 5 minutes to cook, the shrimp too, and then like another 2 minutes for the sauce to come together, and dinner's done. So speaking of sauce, once these shrimp are cooked almost all the way, we are going to add in the remaining sauce. I mixed in a little bit of cornstarch with that sauce. Once we get that mixed in, we're going to add in some butter. I'm using plant butter. You use what you like. And then we are going to add the broccoli back in, give that a final stir, and just cook this for another minute or two, and then that's it. This is done. Give it a taste. Adjust the seasonings to your taste. Now, to keep this quick and easy, I just did instant rice. You can, use whatever kind of rice you want to use. Now, I had some egg roll wrappers and sweet and sour sauce left over from the last time I made homemade egg rolls, which I shared that. I'll link that down in the description box below. But I just made egg rolls tonight, did them the exact same way. And then, yeah, here are the plates. So we've got some of the rice, the shrimp and broccoli, the egg rolls, and sweet and sour sauce. Yummy dinner. This honey garlic butter shrimp and broccoli was really good. I would definitely make this again. And if you don't like shrimp, or someone in your family is allergic, you could totally do this using chicken. It just would, instead of taking like 10 minutes, it might take like 15 or 20 minutes, but you could totally do it. You could also use steak, whatever protein you like. That's it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope that you liked this video, that you got some dinner ideas from it. If you did enjoy it, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.